All right. It's Ethan Musolini, the merchant of success. Now, oh Lord, I'm glad to be here as always to connect with you, to engage with you. And today's subject is how do you supercharge your confidence? And this is 2.0. This is a subject I'm super excited about. Reason being, when I grew up with very low confidence and self-esteem, those of you have been following my story, and I'll show you where to access more of my story at the end. And this really debilitated me. It limited my opportunities for relationships, for career, for business, happiness. Really low self-confidence can really beat me hard. And after noticing how much it held me back, I made a decision. So there were two things that really held me back big time. It was confidence and self-esteem. The other one was interpersonal relationships. How do you relate with people? Now that I'm saying that, yeah, we did a program on that actually, interpersonal intelligence. So those are the two things that I know really held me back big time in my childhood, in my teen years and my early 20s. So I made a conscious decision when I was at the university, and shortly after noticing the cost this had done on me. I invested a lot of time in reading, listening to stuff, attending workshops, invested in coaching and mentoring to reach a level whereby, I consider myself now super confident, and as a result, I'm happier. I've attracted lots of opportunities in terms of relationships, in terms of business, in terms of, overall well-being. You see, if you have these limitations at a confidence level, it really cripples you down overall in your well-being. So this is an extremely important subject, and I'm so even let this be a primer. This should be a subject you have to keep investing in, and get more coaching and mentoring. Of course, if you want me to be one of your coaches and mentors, let me know that. And if not, at least get someone else who can also help you in this area. Even if you don't work with Ethan, you need support. Now, there are 5 areas I always focus on: clarity, meaning the what and why. And then, so they are really the what, we look at the clarity, at the mindset, the strategies, the skill sets, and then the mastery. So let's start with the clarity. So when we talk about confidence, it's the belief of one's ability to do things or deal with circumstances. And again, just some people confuse or do not know the difference between confidence and self-esteem. And I don't want us to go to the self-esteem area. I want us to keep it to confidence. So please, when you're even asking questions, let's stick them to this subject. But just to give you the distinctions so that you know the difference, confidence is your belief in your ability to do things or deal with circumstances, as I expounded on the slides. While self-esteem, it's how much do you love and appreciate yourself regardless of the circumstances. So meaning, if you appreciate, love, and value yourself regardless of your circumstances, then we say your self-esteem is very high. If you don't love and appreciate yourself enough because things are going bad, then we say that your self-esteem is low, because then it's dependent on other circumstances. So that's the difference. Also, let's remember that confidence is inspiring and arrogance is a turnoff. Okay. Now, what's the difference between confidence and arrogance? Confidence could be, one of the examples that comes to mind is when you see something, say, no, I know I can do it. Or you tell yourself that, or you tell people, yeah, I really believe I can do that. That's confidence. Arrogance is like, come on, guys, you should be knowing who I am. I mean, just because you guys can't do it, that doesn't mean that me personally, I can't do it. I'm more skilled than all of you guys, and all that, that kind of talk. That kind of talk is arrogance, and that's a turnoff. But when you demonstrate that indeed you can achieve things or do things, that can be inspiring. Okay. Barry Davenport, I like this quote, that low self-confidence isn't a life sentence. Self-confidence can be learned, practiced, and mastered, just like any other skill. Once you master it, everything in your life will change for the better. And that's the preface to what I said earlier. My life transformed for the better. I've never met someone who said that their life is better off because of low confidence. Just like I've never met someone who complains that their life is worse off because of confidence. No, confidence always adds a positive dimension to your life. So why is confidence important? Number one, career growth. Because I'll give you an example. If, for example, you want to go to a higher level in your position, your MD or CEO wants to know if they send you to a meeting where there are other stakeholders, let's say UN or World Bank or other, will you be able to hold your ground? Or will you be comfortable in those situations, or you'll be shaking in your pants? And if the answer is that you cannot, then it will limit how far you can go. If the answer is yes, it opens up so many possibilities. By the way, when you're confident in yourself, then you can even ask for a higher position. If you don't believe in yourself, then you will not. So it opens up those possibilities. Number two is the more confident you are, then the more you attract the right people. What do I mean by the right people? I mean people who are successful, who are confident, because on average, people who are successful, they are confident. And you want those kinds of people in your life. And that like attracts like. If you want to attract confident and happy people in your life, you have to be confident and happy fast, okay? The law of communication is you go fast and then the people follow. All right? When you have more confidence, you have less stress. Why? I used to get stressed out whenever I would be in crowds of strangers, or I'm meeting this super successful guy, or I've met this super beautiful woman, and I'm stressed out. Why? Because I lacked confidence. So when you are confident and comfortable in your skin, there's very little stress in your life. And of course, stress can be very costly. Then, of course, you attract people who are happy, happy people. Happy people come into your life, like I hinted earlier, because typically when you're more confident, the more confident you are, the happier you are. And the less confident you are, the less happier you are. The two correlate. So those are the benefits of focusing on confidence. The other reason about confidence is that you become more successful in all aspects of your life, besides career. I'm talking about life in general, whether it's relationships, whether it is business. What I know is that you attract more opportunities. That's something I posted today on Facebook, that you attract more opportunities in your life. So more confidence, more opportunities in different aspects of your life. Hence, you increase your chances for success in all aspects of your life, regardless of what that thing is. So that's the other big benefit. Okay, so the distinction between confidence and self-esteem is confidence is about you having the belief that I can do this. In this case, for example, I have the belief that I can talk about this subject with competence, okay? So confidence is so much linked to competence. Yeah, actually that makes a lot more sense. Confidence is so much linked to competence. You have the competence to do something. That boosts your confidence. Now, self-esteem is how much do you love and appreciate yourself regardless of the situation. And self-esteem has so much to do with self-love, self-worth, okay, self-appreciation. For example, whereas I have absolute confidence. I mean, I have 10,000% confidence that I can talk about this subject. I mean, I even wrote a book about it when I was 27 years or 28 years. I need to recall whether it was 27 or 28, because this is a big need across the world. So whereas I have a lot of confidence in this, if I have low self-esteem, it means, for example, if I received a negative comment about this, if I feel very bad about myself and I beat myself up, now that is low self-esteem, because now I'm attaching my self-worth and self-appreciation to how much positivity I receive from people. So that's low confidence. I mean, that's low self-esteem. Now, high self-esteem would mean that, okay, even if I receive a negative comment or people abuse me about this subject I'm talking about, I still appreciate, love myself, and have that self-worth. Okay. Justin, please let me know if that makes sense, because I believe that's you. Okay, Justin says thanks, super clear. Great. More, Olivier, more clarity on happiness, please. Yeah, so what I mean by that, I'll use a personal example, Olivier. So when I lacked confidence to talk to ladies, as an example, I would see a beautiful woman, I would pretend like I'm not interested, but deep inside I would be dying like, God, I wish I had the guts to go and say hello, at least to connect. So that made me sad. But now, and then later when I developed my confidence and I could talk to whoever I felt like talking to, so that means that that baggage of me feeling sad about myself, having that sense of regret, of lack of confidence to talk to beautiful ladies, for example, that went away. And now I was happy with the idea that, okay, I talked, whether the response was positive or negative, at least I was happy that I had the guts and the confidence to talk to someone. I'll give you a practical example. I remember when I was still single and dating, I crossed the road and went and said hello to this lady, and we actually dated later. And she said, later, by the way, I was telling my friends that I could not believe that someone could have the boldness to cross the road and talk to me. That made me even happier, okay? You can call it ego or whatever you want to call it, but that's how I felt, all right? So Herbert says me too. Okay. All right. So Olivier, does that make sense now? Because I wanted to give you a specific example. Okay. Now let's talk about mindset. What are those mindsets which are useful to build your confidence or that drive confidence forward? First, I would like you to get this, that once your mindset changes, everything on the outside will change along with it. That's according to Steve Maraboli, okay? And you're seeing an example of a wonderful and carefully made, which we'll talk about later. So that's in that. I like quoting the late Wendy. I would say that when the things inside you change, when you change the way you look at yourself, when you think about yourself and the world around you, and the things around you, and the people around you change. So meaning it starts from within, what's going on the inside. Once your confidence increases, please, I cannot emphasize this. One of the people on this who are attending live right now, I've been coaching her privately on confidence and self-esteem. And lots of things have shifted in her life, in relationships, in her levels of happiness, and opportunities opening up, and that overall well-being. So just know it really does. Make it one of your priorities. So these are some of the mindsets that I find priceless to boost your confidence. Number one, I relate to myself with the utmost care and love. One of the things that the coach and mentor have spent the most time with so far, we are in the 7th year, I believe, He keeps talking and emphasizing, make yourself number one. Make yourself the number one priority. For him, he says, no, Ethan, me, I am number one. I make myself the number one priority. And what he's really meaning is to make yourself, to treat yourself, relate to yourself with utmost care and love. Take care of yourself, whatever that is. Taking care of yourself, for example, might mean that you know you're tired and you're going to sleep in on Sunday morning or Saturday morning, and not just again to do another run of going to attend someone's meeting for the sake of making them happy, yet you're tired. You attend that meeting, you're tired, you're grumpy, and your body is aching for sleep, but you're just aiming to make someone else happy. So meaning you're valuing those people more than you do. Now, having said that, there are certain contexts where we sometimes have to make those sacrifices. Please get me correctly. I'm not saying that's always the rule. I'm saying most times that should be the case. You take care of yourself. Because when you take care of yourself with love, you're sending a message to your psyche that I am valuable, I am important, I am worthy. And that's the message you want to keep sending. Okay. The second subject, the second mindset is one of my favorites, is that you committed a mistake, but you are not a mistake. In my book, Confidence and Self-Esteem Secrets Exposed, which should be available at Aristoc for some of us who live in Uganda, this is a line I've received the most compliments about from young and old. I remember there's senior six backers who called me a couple of years ago. There's someone who called me from Southern Sudan, talking about, you said just because I committed a mistake does not mean I am a mistake. And that's a biggie, because you see, sometimes we equate ourselves to the results, to the outcomes. So, usually when I'm coaching my private clients, I tell them, look, just because you committed a foolish action does not mean you're a fool. No, you are a special being who executed a foolish action. The two are different. You have to differentiate action and identity. So if an identity is not helpful, please stay away from it. Do not declare it to yourself, and do not declare it to your children, please. And talking about children, I know we have parents here. So one of the best gifts you can give to your children is to give them affirmation, is to not just affirmation, but to be careful what you declare before them. For example, just because someone makes a mistake, okay, not a mistake. If someone makes a foolish action, please do not say you are a fool. You can say, no, that thing is not correct, or is wrong, or is bad. Next time, do this. And I've had this where people say, I've had someone say, oh, just because you did this, then say you're a bad girl, or a bad boy, or you hear someone declare that to their children just because. No, just think about that. This is how we kill people's psyches. This is how our confidence and self-esteem is killed. Because I recall when I was young, I would hear all those sorts of negative things. You never amount to anything, you're a pumpkin. In fact, I remember one time a parent saying to a child, let me say it in my local language, then I'll translate it. So literally meaning, for you we made a loss. I wish you had given birth to a pumpkin. Can you imagine that? What kind of declaration is that? So just now, because someone has behaved in a wrong manner, that doesn't make them less of a human being. And in the same way, so please be careful what you're declaring to your children, because sometimes we kill people's confidence and self-esteem. And the biggest influences are teachers and parents. Number one, parents. Number two, teachers. Okay. Number three, also watch and observe how, the language that, say, the house helps are using towards your children. I'll give you an example. There is a time I had a neighbor, and I had the house help saying, let me say it in English to shorten the time. Say, do you know you are stupid? In fact, you say I am stupid. And the child said, I am stupid. That's like, oh dear. But now, please note, it's not just the house helps. The parents have said those things, even worse of things. But I'm just giving you an example in that you need to watch the language. That, and there's something that I overheard one day. The teacher said to my daughter, and hopefully I will remember it, and then I corrected her. So we have to be very observant, especially when children are still young, below, especially between the age of 2 and 9. That's when their subconscious mind is formed strongly. So that's something to pay attention to. All right. So either way, please separate the wrong actions from who you are. Okay. Just because you executed something bad does not make you a bad person. You made a bad mistake, or you made a bad decision. This I like. I'm wonderfully and carefully made. Remember that. Because I remember when I was at the university, I remember one day I was walking with a friend of mine, Wycliffe, and I said, I really don't like my legs. He said, why? I said, because they are small. And he said that you have to love and appreciate yourself the way you are. And guess what? I later discovered that actually I'm a slender guy. Therefore, my legs were actually directly proportional to how my size was. But I was comparing myself to other bigger guys who had bigger legs. Then at one time, I remember saying, oh, I wish I had a big, thick chest. Hey, but that's not how God created me. I'm just like this, and it's cool. It's fine. Please note, God created you and formed you for a specific purpose and for a specific person and for a specific role. Because think about it. If I was this thick, big guy, then most likely I wouldn't be able to stand here for hours and talk to you because I'm standing, all right? Then after this, I'm going into another segment immediately. So God created me this way and I'm perfectly fine. So this is a biggie, whether for men or for women, you find, and here I'm talking about the physicality. So just look and appreciate yourself, because sometimes, here is a distinction. Sometimes we think that people of the opposite sex appreciate or love people with certain features, and therefore we think that we may not be a hot property on the market or a hot cake on the market. And I'm here to propose it doesn't matter whether you're a hot cake on the market or not. What matters is that you're, number one, you're hot before God. Number two, there is someone who is always thinking, someone is spending an overnight praying, and God help me that so and so may come into my life. And that's the perfect person God created for you. So regardless, just know that how you are in God's eyes, you are perfect. And that's how you should look at yourself. Look at yourself and appreciate yourself. The other trick that I usually share with people is, look, and I'll be talking about comparison later in detail, but you see, sometimes what we need to do is that we look at a certain aspect of our body that we do not like or appreciate. I mean, we are all judgmental in one way or the other. And at the same time, there are other aspects of your body that are perfect, that are exciting. So focus on those aspects and thank God for them. You may not like your bust, but you have nice legs. So appreciate the legs, okay? And send love to your bust. But either way, send love to different parts of your body and appreciate yourself and love yourself, because guess what? You're wonderfully and carefully made. The other mindset that is important is to remind yourself, I am unique, I am important, and no one will tell me otherwise. You see, some people will declare you as unimportant or as not as useful in comparison to who they are or in comparison to what they expect. And I'm here to propose to you to advance this idea that you cannot be like anyone else, that you cannot be like other people. God created you the way you are, and you are unique. Listen, if each one of you, if you, and let me give you an example. The example I like giving you, if you're at the workplace and you notice if the two of you were exactly the same temperament, the same skill set, the same attitude, then one of you would not be useful to the organization. What makes you special and useful is that there's something that you're bringing to the market, to the marketplace, to the workplace that is different from someone else. Hence, you're adding that extra value. So why should we have two exact onions when all you need is just one onion? So one is an onion, one is a tomato, one is a banana, one is nuts, and that's what makes a meal. That's what makes this sauce exciting. You can't just have one onion crying for, to look like a tomato. No, an onion does the job of an onion, and a tomato does the job of a tomato, and those two bring value to the sauce. But here we are living in a society where tomatoes are always uncomfortable in their tomato-ness, and we have onions that are uncomfortable with their onionness, and God is looking down saying, God, look at you. I created you to be an onion, and I want you to bring value to the sauce like an onion. There are already tomatoes out there. Let the tomatoes do the job of the tomato, and let the onion do the job of the onion. That's what uniqueness brings. And I never put it that way, but it makes so much sense. Thank you, God, for that distinction, for that analogy. So just know that you are valuable. And remember this, sometimes based on who you are, you may not be so valuable in a particular context, given who you are in the moment, but time is going to come where it's at a particular distinction where now your skill sets and abilities are perfect and are the most valuable in that particular context. So sometimes you may feel bad because you're not able to do something in the context, but guess what? Time is going to come when your other abilities are priceless. The other mindset, which is useful, is that I am worthy and deserving. So my coach today was telling me, oh, you know what, for me, in a short while, I can do this and that because number one, I believe in myself. Number two, I also believe I am worthy and deserving. And that's a fantastic mindset to have always, to feel like you deserve more and that you're worthy of more, you're worthy of a good job, you're deserving of a good job, you're worthy of a good husband, you're worthy of a good wife, so you are worthy of good opportunities. So you have to think that way, okay? Because if you don't feel like you're deserving, then you won't go after those things that would be valuable to you. Okay, cool. Let me put that. Yeah. Thank you, Emmanuel, for quoting for us Psalm 139:14. I'll praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Oluma. So Gershom says there is also false confidence from excitement. True confidence relates to knowledge. Please advise. Yeah, so I hear you. In that you may, because you're seeing someone else doing something, you feel, yeah, I remember I used to see people driving and I'm like, oh, okay, so you just hold the steering, you turn left. If you're going turning right, you turn right. If you're going left, you turn left. So I had this idea that it should be fine. So my uncle one time put me in the car and started it. And my job was to really hold the steering steady and move accordingly. Oh, my friend, I ended up towards the bush. So it was mere excitement. So confidence, true. Part of confidence is being aware. Being aware and assessing your skill sets and abilities in that they are spot on. Yeah, that's all right. So let's talk about strategies for attaining and ending confidence. Number one strategy is self-growth. This I believe in very strongly. You see, because confidence is directly linked to competence, therefore, one of the quickest, shortest, sharpest moves you can make in your life is to learn new skills. Do another course, challenge yourself with uncomfortable tasks, mingle with accomplished people, because then this will upgrade your skill sets. I'll give you an example. I used to do counseling once in a while. Of course, I'm a coach, but I will tell you about towards the end of last year, I learned the skill sets, some healing skill sets on how to help people overcome emotional stuff. It can help anyone. So long as it's emotional, I can help you reduce it to zero, go to zero and be at peace. And I'll tell you that exploded my confidence in that particular aspect to help people dealing with that. So what I invested thousands of dollars, believe you me, but then it exploded my confidence in that particular aspect of work, where if someone is talking to me and they have something emotional disturbing them, I have 10,000% confidence that I can reduce it to zero. So that's power, and that automatically impacts your growth. So please, as much as possible, invest the time, the energy, the resources in skill sets that automatically will boost your confidence. The second key thing, which I rarely do, I have to be very frank with you, but the few times I've done it, I always see results, is the achievement log. Okay. It brings out the positive in you. Note down your daily achievements, focus on them. I recall I used to practice that because I told you one of my biggest struggles was talking to ladies. I keep referring to that because it's an area that I relate to very well because it was one of my biggest struggles. So I had like a journal of sorts. So whenever I would, at the end of the day, note down the things I did well and I could have done differently, and that really boosted my confidence. So what you can do is, assuming you are struggling in a particular area and you're choosing to focus on it. For example, one of the ladies talking about public speaking. So you could say, okay, all right, today I at least contributed in a meeting, and or this week, I contributed in the meeting 2 times, which I had not done the whole month prior. That's an achievement. It makes you feel good. The third strategy is set goals in all areas of life. Write them down. Why? If you have something you're aiming for, then it will push you to learn new skills, to do different things, to do more tasks. And when you do those things and you achieve more things in your life, that automatically also boosts your confidence. The other key thing is, just give me a moment, I need to move this so that you see it properly, is you need to conquer the inner you. Conquer the inner you. What are the little words that you tell yourself? What is your inner story? Is it empowering? Use affirmations. One of my favorite quotes is the African saying that if there is no enemy within, the enemy out there will do you no harm. So beware of that story. It's going to be a costly story. I told myself debilitating stories. I could have stood for guild presidency at Makerere University, but I told myself, you don't have the money, you're from a poor background, who will vote for you when you don't have a car? Are you kidding me? So the biggest challenge was not the lack of money. The biggest challenge was a poor story I was telling myself. So the biggest enemy is not some person out there. The biggest enemy is right here. So in the mind that you need to work on, that you need to start telling yourself a different story. So at where before, so how do you change? So you change consciously, you become like a script writer and a producer. You're the script writer, you're the producer and the actor in your movie. All the 3 roles, that's the beautiful thing. So you can decide and say, from now onwards, I'm going to tell myself a new story that I am a child of God. I am confident. I choose to step out in power. I choose to speak with certainty. So you tell yourself, this is who I am. This is who I choose to be. And then affirmations. I was teaching one of my private clients who's here. I was teaching her, say, look, when you're telling yourself affirmations also, what you do is rather than saying I am this, say I choose to be this. Okay. Now, even the way I frame them, rather than saying, for example, when you say I am confident, and yet a part of you might say, but are you sure? With all those fears, you're lying to yourself. Why don't you stop lying to yourself? So then you start having these challenges in your head. But if you say, I am grateful that I'm choosing to be confident, it is a choice. You're choosing, and choice is power. So that you're not going to debate in your head. So just make that decision so what you do is you look for things you want to create. Say, I'm grateful. So grateful is something I like adding, but if you don't feel comfortable with grateful, you can just say, I choose. Okay. Say, I'm grateful that I'm choosing to exercise regularly. I'm grateful that I'm choosing to speak loudly. I'm grateful that I'm choosing to be happy. I'm grateful that I'm choosing to like myself. I'm grateful that I'm choosing to love myself. I'm grateful that I'm choosing to feel deserving. I'm grateful that I'm walking in my divine power to achieve great things. So when you say those things, And you know, especially if you're from a challenging background like I am, you need to keep pumping positivity in your system. Because one of us this morning, I was talking to one of us this morning and asked me, I said, oh, I said I am outstanding. And that person said, oh, I wish I could say that. I said, no, it is a choice. I said, okay, all right. So I convinced, I said, okay, next person who asked me, I also say outstanding. And I liked how she ended it. She said, I hope it seeps through my mind and my soul. I loved that. And one of the ways in which, so that's a powerful imagery. So and one of the ways to get something to seep through your mind and your soul, and what she really meant was that can, then once it seeps through the mind and the soul, then it's yours. And one of the ways in which you can let such things seep through your mind and your soul is by you saying it over and over again and say it with certainty. So over time, it becomes the truth. Okay, cool. The other strategy is measured comparisons. This is a biggie. Who do you compare yourself to? Do you fall for social media pictures? Do you feel your colleagues are more accomplished than you? Do you feel that life is a competition? Start running your own race. So I was sharing with one of the clients, I was counseling her, and said, look, the truth of the matter is, because she's like, when I look at my peers, they have this, they have that, me, I don't have this, I feel bad, I feel all these regrets. I said, look, it's okay to look there for inspiration, but at the same time, please remember, who said that you're supposed to run the exact race like someone else? It's your own race. Who said that you should speak like someone, that you should dress like someone, that you should drive the exact car like someone, that you should live in the same area like the other person exactly? No, who said? So comparisons are going to be extremely costly. Let me give you a very practical example. A woman or a man might look at this supermodel and they're like, oh my goodness, look at that and look at me. And this is what we forget. These guys, that is their job. That's their full-time job. Do you know, like for some of these models, they will spend 6 hours in the gym, 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening. So you tell me, where are you going to get 6 hours in your day to just work on your body? Tell me. Can someone explain to me how you're going to do a job for 8 hours, sleep? That is their job. Okay, and you see some of these people in the magazines and you forget that professionally, you're professionally, because I've dealt with some of these models. I know how their business works. So professionally, do you know that they'll get a makeup artist, they'll get photographers, they'll look for certain lighting in a certain position with a certain look, and then they can even do some photoshopping if they have to. So the picture you're seeing is not the exact reality, so to speak, sometimes, usually what you see in the magazines. So you have to be aware of comparisons and instead use, and I'm not saying you don't look there for inspiration, not comparison. Okay. For inspiration, not comparison. So meaning if someone goes to the gym every day for 6 hours, you do not, number one, you don't have the 6 hours to go to the gym, okay, daily. Having said that, you can use the inspiration of their discipline to go to the gym daily, and you go to the gym 1 hour a day, even if it's 30 minutes. But so you're taking the principle of daily exercise, not the exact comparison of 6 hours. Next is dress and look pleasant. It makes you proud. Be conservative if not sure. So what I mean by that, dress in a way that makes you feel nice. And nice is for you, not for the world. And beware also, sometimes you might do something, you might do a hairstyle and someone says, huh? How could you do that? So be very careful also. Some people may not appreciate your style or the way you are, and that's okay. The question is, are you feeling good about it? Do you appreciate it? Of course, if it's valuable feedback, also listening, but I'm saying just dress in a way that makes you feel good, that makes you feel happy, because then that will uplift your mood, you think better, you act better, and typically you also attract better opportunities. Cool. So someone has typed in the chat box here that mind the people you interact with. Some may greatly impact your confidence negatively. Serving God in various church capacities also builds confidence. I totally agree. So there are people who will help you build your confidence. There are those who will not. The late Dr. Gerard Serwaji, who was my first mentor, whatever I would say, he would say, yeah, absolutely. He even started to go, oh, Mr. Motivator, because he knew that's what I wanted to do. So even when I was still in my early 20s, he would affirm what I was aiming for. And that was that was a big addition to my arsenal in that period. Okay. And serving, so when you serve, number one, you're learning skills, you're learning how to interact with people. Of course, you also feel good about yourself. It also boosts your confidence and self-esteem when you serve. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Now, let's talk about the Ethan Musolini confidence model, the skills that you need, the skills and abilities that you need. Okay. So when we talk about this, just a moment, when we talk about this confidence, it's really about first things first. And when I say first things first, I mean this. What did I do? Yeah, okay. The first thing is expanded self-image. So you need to see yourself bigger than who you are right now. Then you start living into that. So one of the things I had to start thinking about is, how do I expand over and above my current marketplace, as an example? Started asking myself, okay, couldn't it be possible to reach out to the people out there outside my native country, Uganda? India said yes. So I started advertising to other countries. Have I fully succeeded yet as of this recording? No, but it's a good start. There are other people who have started showing up from different countries, and I appreciate that. Number two, when it comes to confidence, is self-awareness. And I believe this is a point that Gershom was raising earlier, in that there is a difference between confidence and false self-confidence. So meaning you have to be genuinely aware of your abilities. For example, I'm fully aware that one of the areas I need to work on that I'm very short on as of up until now is things related, for example, to project management. That's not an area I'm very strong at, putting things together step by step. That's not my area yet. And that's an area I need to improve upon. So, but if I was to say, with the projects, I can manage them. I'm ready. No, that would be false confidence. I would be lying to myself. So you need to be aware, and self-awareness partly means you know what you can do and what you cannot do. And here is the beautiful thing. And to be okay with the fact and the idea that what you have, so self-awareness also, number one, starts from you knowing what you bring to the marketplace. And you hear us talking about that, knowing the gifts and talents that you have inside you and being happy with that, being content and appreciative of that. Because if you don't, then you go into the comparison mode, say, but I can't do that. Yes, you can do that because that other person is different, was gifted differently. God dropped different DNA in their system. So some of us doing projects, you do it on the breeze. That's how God created you. And while you may not have the abilities that I have, which is what I'm doing right now, so should I feel bad just because I can't do projects the way you're doing? No, I should focus and appreciate that I can do what I'm doing now. And you should also be confident and happy with what you're doing. And you can look up to me for inspiration to develop in this area. And I should also look at you for inspiration to become a better person. Next is ability and skill set. This I've talked about already. And under the strategies, I want to go deep in that. Just keep working on your skill sets and abilities. Next is willpower. There is also a place whereby you have to determine and say, you know what, I have to find a way no matter what. I have to figure this out, or I have to keep going. So that's willpower, where you don't feel like going out for a run, but you know you have to run, and you go and run. So that's a muscle you have to develop, in that when you commit to something, you push yourself. The other one is you have to eliminate fear. So how do you eliminate fear? One of the ways in which you can eliminate fear, number one, is there is affirmation, which I've told you, of course. And then number two, one of the ways to eliminate fear is to do something step by step, so that you keep chipping away that fear. So one of the things I did is, when I was struggling with talking to women, is I kept, so first of all, I started with saying hello. It's like, hello, they're like, hello. I'm like, have a nice day. And then I take off. And then after that, I'm like, okay, now after week 2, hello, well, okay, how was your day? Had a good day? Like, okay, great. Have a nice day. I take off. So now I kept building my confidence piece by piece. And then at least I overcame the fear of saying hello. Next, I overcame the fear of saying, okay, how was your day? Then I kept advancing to higher and higher levels, whose time I don't have to go into, but you get to the point. So the key thing when we say that, do the thing that you fear, and the death of fear shall be certain. So you have to face your fears and take it step by step. You keep taking baby steps. If, like where I was, I just jumped in and said, hey, can we go out for a cup of tea? But I didn't even know what I would talk about during that cup of tea. Then it would have been disastrous. But I kept building my confidence piece by piece, and in the process, eliminating fear in different arenas. Manage the external self. When I say external self, it is things like how you speak, how you dress up, how you walk. All these things matter. So your external self, how are you showing up in the world? You have to stand tall, as an example. Then walk with energy. All those are external selves. You work on your fitness, so that you're carrying yourself, you feel light. When you feel light, you feel better about yourself. That's managing the external self. The internal self is the conversations, how you see yourself, how you look at yourself. And when you talk about confidence, it's really the biggest mover for you is the identity. What is your identity? How are you seeing yourself as a person? And one of the biggest identities you can take is to start seeing yourself as a confident person. Say, I choose. I'm grateful that I'm choosing to become a confident person. I'm grateful that I'm choosing to step out in the world with confidence and certainty. All right. Next is action, because see, you may learn these skills, but if you don't take action, you won't know how far you've grown. So you have to take some form of action, and then over time, this will boost your sense of confidence, right? So it's very, very important for you to take action, because when you take action, it is confirmation and affirmation before your eyes, before your soul and spirit, that this I can do. This is part of who I am. Then that automatically shoots your confidence super high. And finally, is continuous growth and empowerment of others. So once you learn these things, go teach others, go share with these skill sets with others. There's someone who bought the package on public speaking, the online masterclass, and he said, I want to teach my team. I said, fantastic. That's one of the best ways for you to master these skill sets anyway. So go ahead, teach them, let them master what they are learning, let them master these skills, pass them on, then you'll be adding value to your team, and you'll also be adding value to others. So when we talk about competence and we're talking about skill sets, one of the best ways to become more competent and to boost your confidence is definitely to teach others. When you teach others, you're mastering the content, and then that also is passed on to the rest of the team. All right. Okay, someone's asking about me to talk a little more about action. What I mean by that is, you see, when you take action, that's the best way to get feedback. Let's just suppose you want to speak in public. You want to master the art of public speaking. So you may go through the program, my public speaking masterclass program, which is 10 modules, which is a really, really solid transformational program. You may go through it even 100 times. But if you do not step out there on stage to speak, then you do not have a measuring stick to know whether you've really mastered it or not. So when you take action, then there are things you'll do well, there are things you'll fail at, but at least that's how you get feedback to yourself. So if you just like swimming, for example, you may go online, watch videos until your eyes bleed. But if you do not go to the swimming pool to swim, even if it's at the shallow end, you won't know whether you can swim or not. And remember, confidence is about competence. Competence is the core driver of confidence. And you cannot know whether you're competent in something unless you do it. And when you do it, you get feedback, whether you need to improve or whether you're there already. Okay. So please type in the chat box. Okay, Stephen says it's okay, thanks. Okay, great. Now let's go to mastery. So with mastery, this is what I want you to do. To pick at least 3 strategies from this presentation, then apply them daily for the next 2 weeks. Actually, you know what? Let me update that. Let me first update that. So pick the 3 strategies from the presentation, then apply them for the next 10 weeks. Why 10 weeks? Because whereas before scientists tell us that you need 21 days to build a habit, we know that according to the latest research as of this recording, again, things could change, as of this recording, is that you need to do something consistently for 67 days to stick. So 10 weeks, those are 70 days. So pick those 3 strategies. And just again to remind you of what those strategies are, they are right here. Those are the strategies. Pick 3 of those, because there are 3 of those which you feel, okay, if I can practice these 3, and if you feel 3 is too much, you can pick 2. Okay, minimum of 1, maximum of 3. Pick, I would say 2 to 3. Pick 2 to 3 and say, I'm going to practice this for the next 70 days, for the next 10 weeks. Those of you attending this live, it is Monday. So boom, you can commit to the next 10 weeks. It will transform your life, guaranteed. Okay. So that's your task, my friends, my dear friends. If you're watching the recording, that's it. Just commit. And for us who are attending live, write it down right now. Commit. So this is what I want you to reflect upon. What did you find most useful in this presentation? And next, how are you going to implement the lessons moving forward in your life and career stroke business? Okay. Yeah, so it's the time for questions. Someone asked earlier, how can you become a professional coach? Well, there are some organizations that can coach you in that aspect to become professional. If you go online, I know that the one that most people go to, I've never done their courses, but I've heard great things about it, and it's like a standard, is the International Coach Federation. So that's the one I would say start from there and keep searching. And also look for an area that is specific. It can't be just professional coach. So do you want to become a business coach? Do you want to become a communications coach? Do you want to become a life coach? So you start searching from that perspective. Okay, so let me see.